Hello and welcome back. This is part 5 of our war2. So, okay, therefore we are going to be playing again. Off we go. Then start it. So, the dog's first, take it away.
And it says, you know, it tells her what's going on, what they're shipping. It's quite an interesting letter, and obviously this is all very well documented as well. And before the Marines left New York, Captain Brick spoke with one of his old friends, David Morehouse, who was a similar, like merchant ship captain who was leaving on a very similar route a week later. Okay, which is quite a strange thing that it's been documented, but it has. Okay. So what happened was they set off with this effectively what is known as petrol across the Atlantic, and a week later, Captain Morehouse, so he was obviously sailing across as well, he saw the Mary Celeste in front of him, and it was sort of leaned on the side slightly, with drawing, and also the sail was dropped. Carrying all that out. And so, you know, he landed, he went and investigated, and they found that the ship was a thoroughly wet mess. That's what the chief mate was quoted saying. There were about 3 feet of water in the bilge, in the hold, and it was not sinking at all, no, it was still seaworthy. That's an unusual amount, it's not too much. And also, all the ship's papers were missing, except for the captain's logbook, which said nothing about the incident. The forehatch and the back hatch were open, although the main hatch to the cargo bay was still sealed. Okay, it was sealed. The clock wasn't functioning, the compass was broken, and the sextant and marine chronometer, so all the ability, the things you need to actually sail in a direction to find out where you've gone, are missing. Okay? The only lifeboat was missing, and the peak halyard, which is a strong rope used to hoist the main sail, had disappeared. However, there was a rope which was possibly the peak halyard, tied to the rope very, very strongly, but at the other end it was frayed and trailing in the water behind the ship. So it was obviously like snapped, possibly something like that. Okay, so that's the actual evidence that was found on this ship. 6 months supply of uncontaminated food and water aboard, all the crew's personal possessions and artifacts untouched. So it kind of made the fact that it was piracy very unlikely, and the vessel could have been abandoned in a hurry. Importantly, there were no signs of any struggle anywhere, or any kind of violence. Because the ship was actually found off the coast of Portugal, it wasn't far to Gibraltar, which is a British-held port on Portugal, so very south of Spain. So what happened was the Captain Morehouse sent his chief mate to sail the Mary Celeste back to Portugal. This is a very common thing, actually, and there have been ships that have gone missing when they were trying to sail back. They all disappeared as well. So they made it back to Gibraltar quite happily. And they got there, and they were great, we can salvage the ship. Okay. And so obviously, you know, people were very suspicious. They called the police inspector and the local councilman, and they came and inspected the ship, and they paid a couple of Portuguese or Spanish divers to inspect the ship and see if there was any damage to the hull or anything. No damage anywhere that they could find. They searched through the place and found no evidence of piracy or blood or anything like this. The initial scan actually did show that there were apparently traces of blood or an unclean sword. That's according to the records. The records are the very first inspected log. But on future study, the Americans who turned up said that there was was no blood. It was just rust. So it was an old sword, not a bloody unclean one. It was dried blood. It was just rust. I need to swear this. I think it's quite passionate. So yeah. I mean, after that, you know, the ship changed hands multiple times. So where's this going? Have you solved it? Well, I haven't solved it, but then, I mean, what do you think? What do you think might have happened? So from the evidence so far that I've given you,
Aliens. Possibly a sea serpent or a giant squid.
yeah, from outer space, yeah,
Came down and ate the crew.
Well, that was obviously put forward as a theory, but there are other theories. I mean, the most obvious theory.
Was it?
Was it? Well, come on. Think about better theories than that. Why? I mean, why do you think why do you think the story is so popular? Because it's so easy to attribute to stuff like pith and stuff like that. But think about things that might be more possible, like insurance fraud. So, if the two captains were colluding together, you know, to try and get the insurance money for the boat or its cargo, that could be possibly. But strangely,
But that's not very interesting.
yeah, and also it's kind of not likely to happen because the crew wasn't worth much and the cargo wasn't worth much. It was only, you know, like tubs of alcohol that aren't actually that valuable. They're quite cheap to make and they weren't worth very much money. They were only worth, you know, a couple of, well, tens of thousands of dollars, but not worth.
Oh, is that all? Just tens of thousands of
Well,
dollars?
not worth the effort that would have to go on into the staging the whole thing, and the risks involved in doing so. There are easier ways to do insurance fraud. You know, you could have just burned the ship down, for example, in like 7 hours. So, possible other things that might have happened were, you know, some sort of storm, and you know, the Mary Celeste could have like thought they were sinking or something. But that's strange because the water was, you know, higher than normal in the ship, and it was certainly nowhere near enough to warrant abandoning the ship. And you know, the ship was perfectly seaworthy. Other theories is that they evacuated the ship for some reason. This is probably the best theory. You know, they had to evacuate quickly for some reason. Yeah. And what they actually was because the ship was still seaworthy and they just carried on. They actually transported the barrels of alcohol to their final destination, Genoa, in Italy. And what they found that 9 of the barrels were completely empty. One of the most popular theories at the moment is that these barrels leaked. They started to build up vapor, ethanol vapor in the hold. Now what can happen is, oh god, ethanol has actually got...
You'll get drunk on the fumes.
Well no, ethanol has a flash point of around 13 degrees Celsius, which means that in ethanol vapor, in a ship, will probably be warm enough to cause a flash.
What is it about?
Well, like, flash point is something that is very, very commonly used in chemistry, and it's kind of the lowest temperature that a liquid can vaporize to ignite in air, kind of spontaneously. It means that any kind of ignition source or spark can ignite something in air. So what happened was these casks were obviously metal lined, or they were nailed in the cargo hold, and there's obviously exposed metal. And what probably happened was ethanol the vapor caught fire or flashed and caused a vapor explosion. Now, if this would have happened, it would not have actually scorched anything and left burn marks. It would have blown open the whole doors and probably caused like either like a very loud explosion or a series of explosions. Now, obviously, if Captain believed his ship was about to explode, he would have ordered everyone into the lifeboat, and obviously taken the instruments they thought they might need with them, valuable instruments, in case they got stranded in the lifeboat because the ship was going to explode. But what he probably would have done is secure the ship to the lifeboat with a strong tow line, so that if the ship didn't explode, it would have been, they could have just towed themselves back to the ship and carried on, right? However, as you saw, the boat broke. So, I mean, that could have possibly been because of the ship going too fast, or a weakness in the rope, or whatever. So that's actually a very popular theory, and it kind of explains certain aspects of it. A serious reason why they might want to abandon the ship, and a reason why the specific things are missing from the ship, and obviously the reason why 9 of the barrels were empty. It's worth noting that all the barrels that were empty were made of different kinds of oak. They were made of red oak rather than white oak. So all the barrels except 9 were made of white oak, and only 3 were made of red oak. And those were the ones that you solved it. You fucking solved it. Well, this is on Wikipedia, right? I mean, the thing is, this Wikipedia question, this long article about the explosion, and possibilities of it. It's got like UFOs, mutiny, drunkenness, the crew were murdered in a drunken stupor. Does it actually have UFOs? Sea creature. Does it actually have UFOs? It says that the theories range from alcoholic fumes to paranormal explanations involving UFOs and sea monsters.
Or that we're going to end it here.
The Bermuda Triangle.
Okay, so this is the end of this video. We'll see you again in a minute.